have taken care of Joshua's son's cat for 5 years. But tonight it suddenly bit me as I walked in the door. Sitting in the car on the way to the hospital, I suddenly understood. Some cats cannot be tamed. Just like cats, some people are the same. So when I got home, I told Joshua I wanted a divorce. He frowned and asked me in confusion, "Just because the cat bit you?" "Yes, just because of that." Chapter 01. Have you thought this through? In a month, it will be our 5th wedding anniversary. Joshua was holding the cat, absent-mindedly playing with its tail. Strangely enough, Joshua has rarely come home since we got married, and the times he has seen the cat can be counted on one hand. Clearly, I am the one who usually feeds it, yet it only seems to like Joshua. I shifted my gaze away from the cat and calmly said, "I've made up my mind. I will leave with nothing. You sign the papers, and tomorrow we will go file for divorce." After saying this, I placed the divorce agreement in front of Joshua. Joshua glanced at the documents on the table, then looked up at me with a frown. He asked, puzzled, "Fernanda, just because Missing bite you, you want to divorce me and give up our 5 years of marriage?" Missing is Joshua's name for that cat. Hearing Joshua call it, Missing looked up and meowed sweetly, its voice very soft. It was completely different from the warning growls it usually directed at me. I withdrew my gaze and nodded. Just because of it. This statement is true. The decision to propose a divorce to Joshua was indeed thanks to Missing. Yesterday, the new play started filming, and the director suddenly told me, "You've been replaced." The actress who replaced me is someone I know recently. Her name has frequently appeared alongside Joshua's in trending searches, making it hard not to notice. Moreover, Sun's family is the investor of this play. So without thinking, I directly called Joshua. "Are you saying that I was replaced?" Joshua nonchalantly replied, "Yes, it was me." His attitude was cold and hard, giving me the reason, "Sun's family doesn't need you to earn money. Just take good care of Missing at home." Joshua's casual remark made all my previous efforts for this play go to waste. I was forcibly sent home by the assistant. While changing shoes at the entrance, Missing suddenly rushed out and bit me. Looking at the wounds on my arm, I suddenly broke down emotionally. I have nurtured this longing for 5 years, yet it still treats me as an enemy. It hates me, never allowing me to get close, and if I'm not careful, it will attack me. Just like the cat, Joshua is the same. After 5 years of marriage, he remains indifferent to me. To this day, he refuses to publicly acknowledge our marriage. In the eyes of outsiders, he is the unmarried heir of the Sun family, while I am a mediocre celebrity in the entertainment industry. We have not a shred of connection. The only time we were linked was that time when we accidentally appeared in the same frame. I was put on the trending list by his rumored girlfriend, who thought I was the third party interfering in their relationship. I really can't take these days anymore. I don't want to continue being a free babysitter for a cat that can't be tamed. I also don't want to live the secretive life with Joshua any longer. Chapter 02. We have no children, and there is no property to divide. Divorce is very simple. Just like getting married in the first place. We also went to get a certificate together and had a meal with his parents. The only requirement Joshua had for marrying me was to keep it a secret. So we didn't hold a wedding or any other ceremony. After finishing the divorce procedures, Joshua gestured for me to get in the car. "Grandma wants to see you." I suddenly felt a moment of disorientation, as if time had rewound to 9 years ago. At that time, my family had just gone bankrupt, and my parents had passed away. Relatives avoided me like the plague, fearing that I would bring them down with me. I had nowhere to go on the streets, and it was Joshua who appeared like a deity out of nowhere. In moments of despair, even a little warmth offered can be magnified infinitely. So many years later, even though Joshua bullied me and made me very sad, I still remember that day when he held my hand and said, "Come home with me. Grandma wants to see you." Son, Grandma pities me and has left me to live at Sun's house. Until we reached adulthood, she suddenly brought up my engagement to Joshua. "Your engagement was arranged since childhood. But Grandma still wants to ask you first. Do you wish to marry Joshua? My cheeks suddenly turned red. I have always known about the engagement. Before my family went bankrupt, during my youthful days, I dreamed of marrying Joshua. But later, I no longer dared to dream such dreams. I still like Joshua, even more than before. But I also know very well that I am just a lonely girl living under someone else's roof. Why don't you ask Joshua first? I know Joshua has someone he likes, so this engagement is destined to be void. But I didn't expect that Joshua actually agreed. It was only in the second month after the wedding that I accidentally found out the reason. Aren't you not fond of Fernanda? How did you suddenly get married to her? The speaker was Joshua's good brother Martin. Joshua was lounging on the sofa, playing with the cat. He casually replied, "Since Ruby married someone else, it doesn't matter who I marry. Ruby is the person that Joshua likes." I pressed my lips together and took 2 steps back. Before leaving, I heard Joshua say again, "It's just a formal wedding. I won't touch anyone other than Ruby. Moreover, I've always regarded Fernanda as a sister." Martin mocked him, "Marrying your own sister? You're really disgusting." After returning to Son's house, I stuffed the divorce certificate into my bag and went to see Son's grandmother alone. If it weren't for her, Joshua and Son's family wouldn't have agreed to the divorce so easily. "Thank you, Grandma." Grandma patted my hand. "If I hadn't been the one to get you two married in the first place, you wouldn't have suffered so much. I am sorry for you. Originally, I wanted Joshua to take care of the missing for you, thinking that he could often accompany you because of the missing." Son Grandma didn't know Joshua valued missing someone because it was a gift from the person he liked. I lowered my gaze and squatted in front of her, saying nothing. Son Grandma sighed again. "If your child were still here, wouldn't it be?" Hearing this, I immediately interrupted her. "It's all in the past, Grandma. I didn't want to mention that child too much." When I was leaving, Son Grandma gave me a card. I knew I couldn't refuse, so I planned to give it to Joshua to return to Son Grandma. When I found him, he was talking to Son Aunt. Fernanda has been living too well at Son's house, never having experienced much hardship. When she has spent a few days facing difficulties outside, she will naturally come back to beg me for reconciliation. I stood behind him, pulling at the corners of my mouth, silently smiling, until Joshua turned around and noticed me. His expression changed slightly, his lips moved, but in the end, he still said nothing. I smiled as I handed Son's grandmother's card to him, then left. After taking a couple of steps, I couldn't help but turn back to look at Joshua. "Joshua, I won't be coming back." Joshua's narrow eyes glanced at me, and he let out a sneer. "Don't speak so definitively." I smiled gently and didn't say anything more. After all these years, Joshua still doesn't understand me at all. Chapter 03. After leaving Son's house, I immediately bought a ticket to Harbor City. This trip is to fulfill the dream I had at 18. Having been in the entertainment industry for many years, some of the artists who debuted around the same time as me have already reached the top, while I am still struggling. When I was studying, those teachers who praised my appearance as a young actress, saying I had spirit and talent, later only sighed in disappointment when mentioning me. Once when I returned to my alma mater, I happened to hear a teacher comment about me, "The ancestor grants food, yet she insists on smashing the bowl." I used to think that it was impossible for a person to live too perfectly. With gain comes loss. Just like Joshua said, being Mrs. Sun is not that easy. Indeed, being Mrs. Sun is not easy. After we got married, the first request Joshua made of me was to retire from the industry. I fought hard for myself. Being an actress is my dream. But in Joshua's eyes, my dream seemed utterly ridiculous. He showed me unabashed sarcasm. "Dreams? Fernanda, I don't want to hear that from you again in the future." I have already forgotten how I convinced him to back down at that time. I only remember that day. Joshua was very unhappy when he left. He said, "If you want to continue acting, you must follow my demands." In order to meet his demands, I could only accept some inconspicuous supporting roles from then on. For me, being able to continue acting is enough. But later, the paparazzi captured me and him in the same frame. I was recognized as the third party by Joshua's then-rumored girlfriend and was criticized on trending. Is an open relationship okay? I asked Joshua to clarify for me. We are in a marital relationship. Why should I be labeled as the third party by her? I don't want to continue suffering from the curses and insults of netizens. Joshua didn't even glance at me. He said coldly, "It's common for artists to be cyberbullied. If you can't handle it, it only proves that you don't belong in this circle. Fernanda, why not take this opportunity to see yourself clearly and leave the industry early?" Since that incident, I have been in a state of being forced out of the circle. I have tried hard, but no director is willing to accept an actor with a bad reputation. Not long ago, I finally succeeded in auditioning for a small role, only to be replaced by Joshua. I thought I would never have the chance to appear on screen again. But just the day after I proposed divorce to Joshua, I suddenly received an audition invitation from the director of Harbor City. The director is Leonardo, a very young new director. I found the address in the email. I introduced myself to the staff. "Hello, my name is Fernanda." Fernanda. The staff looked up at me with an exaggerated expression. He was stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted and turned to shout inside, "Leo." The staff said something in Cantonese that I didn't understand. But that sentence made everyone present stop what they were doing and look at me. Until Leonardo came out from inside. His face was dazzling enough to rival that of male stars in the entertainment industry. I thought inappropriately, maybe he shouldn't be a director. He should rely on his looks and be an idol. "Hello, my name is Leonardo. Fernanda." The audition went smoothly. I also stayed in Harbor City to start preparing for this play. The staff member I met that day is called Sam. After getting to know each other, I couldn't help but be curious. "What did you say in Cantonese when we first met?" Sam has a hint of Hong Kong Mandarin in his speech. "Oh, it was nothing. I just said, Leo, your leading lady has arrived. This play Leo has been in preparation for a long time. We've been waiting for you. He sent you a lot of emails before, but you never replied. In the past, my email and social accounts were managed by my assistant. All work was also selected by my assistant before consulting Joshua for his opinion. It wasn't until after the divorce that I had the right to check my email and choose my job. Fernanda, do you know?" Sam creeped closer to me. "Actually, Leo is your biggest fan." Before he finished speaking, a strong light shone from behind. It was Leonardo bringing late-night snacks. Sam hadn't even finished speaking when he caught a whiff and ran away. Leonardo, seeing that I hadn't moved, walked over and asked me, "Aren't you going to eat something?" I shook my head, not hungry. The night breeze of Harbor City is mixed with a salty, humid scent. Leonardo sat down beside me. "Aren't you going to eat?" He also shook his head with a smile. "I'm not hungry either." I suddenly thought of Sam's words and glanced at Leonardo unnaturally. This glance was not obvious, but he still caught it. Leonardo furrowed his brow in confusion, as if he thought of something. He turned to look at Sam and asked me, "What did Sam just say to you?" I hesitated for a moment before saying, "He said you are my fan." Leonardo admitted without hesitation. "That's true." I was stunned for a moment. Originally, I thought this was just Sam's joke. "I've watched all the works you've starred in." His words suddenly made me somewhat agree with Sam's evaluation of him as a fanatic. Thinking of my works that have been labeled as bad films, I awkwardly rubbed my nose. Leonardo seemed to see through my thoughts. He said, "The film is indeed terrible, but your performance is great. Fernanda, you are a wonderful actress. Tonight is cloudy, with no light in the sky. But I seem to see the stars shining in Leonardo's eyes. After my parents passed away, it feels like I haven't heard anyone affirm me like that for a long time." I stood there in a daze for a long time. In the 5 years of marrying Joshua, I have always been denied. With no achievements as an actress, Joshua said I wasn't suited for acting and advised me to retire early. As a wife, unable to hold my husband's heart, My mother-in-law told me to find the reasons within myself. Until now, leaving the Sun family, I only then realized that, in fact, I am not as terrible as they said. I am fine, and there are people who can see my goodness. Chapter 04. Harbor City places great importance on rituals. After the grand opening ceremony, the film crew officially started work. The next time I received a call from Joshua was in the early hours of a night after a shoot. He seemed to have been drinking, his voice hoarse, and he asked me, "Where have you been? Do you know that missing is hurt?" I never thought he would call me again. After a moment of shock, I finally spoke up to remind him. "Joshua, we are already divorced." After thinking for a moment, I continued. "If you are busy with work and don't have time to take care of missing, you can send it back to the old house, or hire a nanny to help look after it." There was silence on the other end of the phone for a long time. I think Joshua might have sobered up a bit. He explained to me, "I drank too much. That's why I called you. Sorry to disturb your rest." I lightly hummed in response, walked to the window, and seriously told him, "Joshua, please don't call me again." After saying that, I hung up the phone. I also conveniently blocked his number. These days of shooting have been exhausting. After taking a shower, I almost fell asleep immediately. When I woke up the next day, I suddenly saw the message in the group about pausing the shoot. I suddenly woke up. I immediately called Leonardo. I called several times and he didn't answer, so I called Sam. "Fernanda, Leo said the filming is on hold for the next couple of days. The investors suddenly withdrew their funding. Leo has already gone to communicate with them. I don't know why, but I suddenly thought of the call from Joshua last night. It's not that I'm being overly sentimental. It's just that when I left Sun's house, he said that sentence. Fernanda is just too comfortable at Sun's house. She hasn't experienced much hardship. Once she spends a few tough days outside, she'll naturally come back to beg me for reconciliation." A chill suddenly arose in my heart. It was only later that I received a message back from Leonardo. There were only 2 words, "Open the door." I hurriedly put down the script and jogged to the door. Before opening the door, I was still thinking about what to ask him about what had happened. But seeing Leonardo's nonchalant smile, the words I wanted to ask suddenly got swallowed back. Strangely enough, it was as if he possessed some kind of magic. As long as I saw him, all my restless emotions would be soothed. "Sam said you didn't have dinner last night. You mentioned wanting to eat at this place, and since I happened to pass by on my way back, I packed a portion for you. Leonardo handed me the lunch box he was holding. As I took it, I caught a whiff of the black-bone chicken soup. I had heard Sam mention that there was a place in Harbor City with great black-bone chicken soup, but unfortunately, I had been busy filming with the crew and never had the chance to try it. "Thank you." After saying that, I suddenly noticed that the expensive watch Leonardo had been wearing on his wrist was missing. Not only the watch, but his clothes and shoes had also been replaced with ordinary street market items. Even the collar of his t-shirt still had a 15 yuan tag attached. And I couldn't find the keys to his sports car. I hesitated for a moment before asking, "Is the film crew starting work tomorrow?" "Not yet." Leonardo paused for a moment, then continued, "Everyone has been very tired lately. Let's rest for another 2 days." He sold his car, sold his watch, and probably even sold his clothes and shoes. If we still can't start work, it means the funding issue hasn't been resolved. "Leonardo, can you do me a favor?" He is from Harbor City and knows this place better than I do. So I asked him to help me find a reliable pawn shop. My mother's bracelet is the only valuable thing I have on me right now. When the family went bankrupt, this bracelet was originally going to be used to pay off debts. Later, I don't know how it ended up in Joshua's hands. That time he was photographed by the paparazzi with a certain rumored girlfriend. The next day I received this bracelet. I think Joshua probably saw this as compensation for me. In the years of marriage, I received a lot of compensation. But when I left Sun's home, I only took this bracelet. Over the years, the price of the bracelet has increased quite a bit. 9 million. Is that enough? I handed the card to Leonardo. You sold the bracelet for me? Leonardo held the card, staring blankly at me. His eyes were filled with swirling emotions, a look of surprise and bewilderment on his face. You did it for me, didn't you? I interrupted his train of thought. It's not for you. It's for this movie. It's for myself. Leonardo, you should know, I haven't acted in a long time. It's not that I don't want to act. It's that no one is looking for me. I reached out to others, but they don't want me either. So Leonardo, do you know what this movie means to me? Leonardo's sports car was replaced by a second-hand motorcycle. He sat on the motorcycle, his long legs touching the ground. The expression on his face changed repeatedly, from a hint of disappointment to a firm seriousness. Leonardo caressed the card in his hand. I won't let you down. I believe in you. I smiled back at him. I also believe in myself. Chapter 05. But that card Leonardo ultimately returned to me. He said, you don't need that much. 3 million is enough. Back to the hotel. After thinking it over, I still bought a ticket back to North City before going to bed. Before takeoff, I received a text from Leonardo. There's a fireworks show at Victoria Harbor tonight. Do you want to go see it? I replied to him on the plane, going back to North City to take care of some matters. They quickly replied, the film crew starts work tomorrow. Can you come back? I can come back tonight. After thinking for a moment, I added, maybe I can catch the fireworks show tonight. Okay, I'll wait for you to come back. I smiled and turned off my phone, not replying to his last message. Today is a work day. Joshua should be at the office. Hello, I'm looking for Joshua. The receptionist had never seen me before. Sorry, you can't go up without an appointment. Hearing me mention Joshua's name, the man in a business suit behind her looked me over a few times. Look, nowadays women think they can rely on wealthy men just because they have a bit of beauty. She might not know that we son are never short of beautiful women around us. The man's voice was not loud, but just at the level where I could hear it. I glanced at him, without offering an explanation. I was hesitating whether to pull Joshua out of the blacklist and ask him to meet. I suddenly looked up and saw Joshua's assistant coming down from the elevator. The assistant also saw me and jogged over a few steps. He asked me, you are here to see son, right? I'll take you up. I nodded. When Joshua saw me, his expression was somewhat surprised. But soon he returned to normal, a slight smirk playing at the corners of his mouth, carrying a hint of mockery. Did you know I was coming back? I didn't say anything. I walked over and placed the card on his desk. When I left Son's house, I took my mother's bangle with me. I had returned some to you before. This card has the remaining money. Joshua furrowed his brow, glancing at the card on the table before lifting his gaze to me. Where did you get the money? He knew that when I left Son's house, I had taken nothing but that bangle. I have no money. I sold the bangle. Joshua couldn't believe it. You sold your mother's heirloom? That was the only thing she left for you. After saying that, the mocking tone at the corner of his mouth became even more pronounced. Fernanda, Joshua is used to putting on this superior attitude in front of me. For the sake of our many years of acquaintance, you still come back as Mrs. Sun. He thought I was struggling outside, which is why I came to find him. In Joshua's eyes, I probably only suited to be a caged canary. He never thinks highly of me. No need. I rejected him in a calm tone. But Joshua was still very angry. He threw my card on the ground. Fernanda, did you come back just to pay me back? I didn't understand what he was angry about, but I nodded anyway. Just as I was about to leave, Joshua suddenly asked me, is it really necessary for us to be so clear about this? Of course it's necessary. I looked at him seriously and said, Joshua, I have already paid back the money I owed you, and from now on, we are even. Even? Joshua sneered. After the Sun family has raised you for so many years, do you think this little bit of money can settle everything? I was stunned in place. After I came to my senses, I suddenly felt angry. Joshua. The year my family went bankrupt, I was in my 3rd year of high school. I had already paid my tuition in advance, and there was still money left on my meal card. So during that half year, except for occasionally going back to Sun's house for meals during holidays, I didn't spend a single cent from Sun's family. Later, when I went to university, I had a scholarship and didn't trouble my uncle and aunt to cover any expenses. After graduating from university, we got married. After marriage, you gave me a card, and when we divorced, I had already returned that card to you. You know, I never touched a single cent in it. After I finished speaking, I picked up the card from the ground and placed it back on the table. I previously lent you $4,800,000. This card has $6 million. The extra can be considered as my living expenses at Sun's place over the years. So Joshua, you only spent $5,800,000 to buy that bangle back then, right? Therefore, I haven't taken advantage of you, nor do I owe you or the Sun family anything. I smiled slightly, looking into his eyes. If we calculate carefully, it turns out you owe me even more. But those were all willingly given by me. I won't ask you to return them. After I finished speaking, I turned and left. Behind me was Joshua's angry voice. What do I owe you? Be clear. I didn't answer, nor did I look back. Coming out of his office, I saw the man who had previously said at the front desk that I wanted to find a sugar daddy. He eagerly helped me press the elevator button, smiling as he sent me off. By the time we landed in Harbor City, it was already dark. I was about to send a message to Leonardo when I looked up and saw he had been waiting at the arrival gate. How did you know I was on this flight? Leonardo said, I guessed. Sitting on the back of his second-hand motorcycle, I suddenly spoke up. You should have messaged me. That way, you wouldn't have to wait for me at the airport all day. The roar of the motorcycle and the whistling wind drowned out my voice. Leonardo didn't hear this sentence. It's too noisy tonight. Victoria Harbor is bustling with people, and fireworks burst in the pitch-black sky. I said, the fireworks are really beautiful. Suddenly, I heard a vague voice beside me saying, you look good too. Chapter 06. The movie wrapped up a year ago. During this year, I often received calls from strangers and strange text messages. Every time the call connected, there was silence on the other end. The text messages were all just trivial greetings and concerns. I guess the person texting is Joshua, so I block those numbers every time. Sometimes I really don't know what Joshua is thinking. Someone who used to care little about me has started to show concern after their divorce. Fernanda, congratulations on wrapping up. Grandma told me some things I didn't know before. When you have time, can we set a date to have a good chat? Just then, a trending news alert popped up, again about Joshua and the popular young actress's romantic scandal. In the past, as long as it was related to Joshua, I would click on every message and read it carefully. He rarely contacts me, and the messages I send him seldom receive a reply. So, in the past, I could only learn about what he was doing recently through trending topics. But now, I simply swipe away the pop-up notifications and calmly delete the messages, blocking the number. After packing up my things, I happened to see Leonardo and Sam as I came out of the makeup room. I don't know what Sam said, but Leonardo was looking down and smiling softly. When he looked up again, he had taken away the cigarette that Sam was about to light. Sam pouted and complained, "Why, can't I even smoke?" Leonardo casually tossed the cigarette into the nearby trash can. We still have to eat together later. Fernanda doesn't like the smell of smoke. After dinner, you can smoke at home. Sam raised an eyebrow, teasing him. Leo, you are very different around Fernanda. Do you like her? Leonardo smiled, not denying it. So Sam continued, Leo, if you like Fernanda, just go after her. There are so many people who like her. If you don't take the initiative, someone else will. I felt a tremor in my heart, not noticing what was under my feet. After coming out of the hospital, Leonardo drove me to the hotel. He paused at the door and asked me, "Can I take you inside?" I had a serious sprain, and it was difficult for me to even stand. Director, if you're not willing to take me inside, I might have to crawl in myself. Leonardo chuckled and carried me inside. When he went to the bathroom to get me a towel, I suddenly remembered that many times before, Leonardo had always stopped at my room's door. He never easily entered any actress's room. Someone joked with him, "There are many paparazzi around here. Our director values his reputation too much." Leonardo explained, "I don't really care, but it's hard for the actress to refute rumors. Almost no one in the film crew has ever said a bad word about him. With such a person, it's no wonder everyone respects and trusts him." Hearing a knock on the door, I called Leonardo to help me open it. "Who is it?" I turned around and just happened to see Joshua's astonished face outside the door. He furrowed his brows and glanced at Leonardo for a moment. Then his gaze passed over him and looked at me. Joshua asked me in an interrogative tone, "Who is he? What are you doing in the room?" Chapter 07. Fernanda, have you forgotten your identity? I used to dislike Joshua talking to me in such a condescending tone. When I liked him before, I could still convince myself to be tolerant. But now I feel there is no need for me to continue to endure. What identity do I have? I maintained my posture of looking back and coldly asked him, "Joshua, have you forgotten that we are no longer together?" Joshua seemed to just remember that we had already divorced. His expression was dazed for a moment, revealing bitterness, and he asked me, "Fernanda, can we have a good talk?" I have nothing to talk about with him, but I know that with Joshua's personality, if I don't agree, he will keep pestering me. He is someone who won't give up until he achieves his goal. "All right, what do you want to talk about?" Joshua didn't speak, but looked at Leonardo. "You let him go out. I smiled coldly. I understood that he didn't want anyone to know about my relationship with him. I looked at Leonardo. Before I could say anything, Leonardo understood and said, "I'll go out. If you need anything, just call me. After saying that, he stepped outside. When the two passed each other, the looks they exchanged were ambiguous. The door was gently closed. I asked Joshua, "What do you want to talk about?" "Grandma said we once had a child." Joshua asked urgently, "Is this true?" If he didn't believe son grandma's words, I don't think he would have flown all the way to Harbor City to see me. "It is true. The reason I didn't tell him before was that I knew he didn't care. And now that he knows, there is no longer a need to hide it." I asked him, "Did you come to Harbor City specifically because of the child?" Joshua looked uneasy. He looked at me and shook his head, "Yes, but no. Fernanda, I've missed you ever since you left." This sentence made me laugh inexplicably. My reaction made his expression even more desolate. "What I said is true. I just didn't realize I liked you before, whether you believe it or not. You've been in my heart for a long time." I continued to laugh, just like he had mocked me countless times before. "Joshua, don't cling too tightly to what you've already lost. Whether it's me or that child." The child I had with Joshua was an unexpected pregnancy. Joshua had said he wouldn't touch any woman other than Ruby. So that time we had relations was because he was drunk, and I was suffering from a severe cold, completely unable to resist. When I woke up the next day, Joshua had already left. I endured the soreness in my body, got up to take cold medicine again, and finally fell asleep once more. It wasn't until a few months later when my grandmother noticed something was wrong and took me to the hospital for a checkup that I found out I was already pregnant. That time during the new year when you were in a bad mood, you accidentally pushed me into the water. You thought I could swim and would be able to get up by myself, so you turned around and left. But it was winter, and the clothes on my body were heavy. After getting pregnant, I was always sick, and it took a lot of effort just to barely make it to shore. Later, when I went to the hospital, the doctor said I had stayed in the icy water too long and advised me to give up that child. That day, I originally wanted to tell you about my pregnancy and ask if you wanted to keep the child. Joshua's pupils trembled violently. His lips quivered, and after staring at me for a long time, he said, "I'm sorry. I don't know." Whether he knew or not didn't really matter. Given his attitude towards me at that time, even if he had known, I think he still wouldn't have kept that child. It's okay. All of this is in the past. A child not expected by their parents might be lucky not to have been born. I looked at him and smiled. Joshua, do you have anything else to say? If not, can you leave? I need to rest. Joshua could tell I was trying to get him to leave. He turned slowly. As he pushed open the door, I called out to him again, Joshua. Joshua turned back to look at me quickly, his eyes full of expectation. Leonardo should be outside. Can you call him in for me? Thank you. I watched the light in Joshua's eyes fade little by little. He smiled self-deprecatingly. Fernanda. His name is not Leonardo U. Joshua turned to glance at the just past Leonardo, and continued speaking to me. His last name is W. Ong. He is the only child of the Harbor City family. You've known him for a long time, right? He hasn't even told you his real name? Seeing Leonardo's face gradually stiffening, I knew that what Joshua said must be true. After Joshua left, Leonardo helped me to the bed. I said to him, "Thank you, good night." But Leonardo was still standing by my bed, showing no intention of leaving. He asked me, "Fernanda, do you have any questions for me?" I shook my head. No. Everyone has their own secrets, especially since my relationship with Leonardo wasn't at a point where we had to be completely honest with each other. Chapter 08. The movie premiered simultaneously in Harbor City and mainland. After finishing my work in Harbor City, I returned to North City. Everyone thought the success of this movie was a stroke of luck. But I knew from the very beginning that this movie would definitely be a hit, and as the lead actress, I would surely win this battle for redemption beautifully. Otherwise, I wouldn't be willing to sell my mother's bracelet. I saw Leonardo on the third day after I returned to North City. He suddenly appeared outside my door, dragging a suitcase, and cautiously asked me, "Fernanda, can you take me in for a couple of days?" Suddenly, I remembered the night I left Harbor City when I went to say goodbye to him and Sam. I heard him confiding to Sam, "Fernanda is going back to North City." Sam shot him a glance. "Haven't you confessed to Fernanda yet?" "I'm afraid it would be too abrupt and make her unhappy." "Leo, you're so smart. How come you lose your wits when it comes to Fernanda?" Leonardo sighed. "I don't know. I have always been too cautious with her, always worried about losing her." He glanced at Sam, who handed him a beer too, shook his head and refused. "No, Fernanda doesn't like drunks." Sam said, "But she's not here." "Even if she's not here, I can't drink. I'm afraid if she finds out, she will hate me for it." I looked at Leonardo outside the door and smiled silently. I asked him, "What are you doing in North City?" Leonardo said, "I came to pursue you, to tell you that I like you." He was so direct all of a sudden that I was momentarily at a loss for words. My first reaction was actually to pretend I hadn't heard him, hoping to evade the situation. Leonardo seemed to see through my thoughts, and he sighed. "Fernanda, I knew you would react this way, which is why I was always hesitant to confess to you. Clearly, you can make bold decisions at work, but when it comes to matters of the heart, you choose to evade. I consulted a doctor friend, and she said that your situation stems from past emotional setbacks, which is why you use avoidance as a way to protect yourself. Fernanda, I didn't come to North City expecting you to give me the same in return. I just came to tell you that I like you. You don't have to force yourself to break through the protective shell, nor do you have to like me too much. My liking you is enough, Fernanda. You just need to accept my affection and enjoy it." He was silent for a moment, then suddenly apologized softly. "Sorry, am I scaring you like this?" "Actually, before coming to North City, I prepared a lot of things I wanted to say to you, but as soon as I saw you, I couldn't remember anything." As I looked at his anxious and uneasy expression, I suddenly thought of my former self. The pursuer is humble, while the one being pursued is arrogant. I smiled slightly. I stepped back to let him in. When the film crew called to let me know about the trending topic, Leonardo was asking me what I wanted to eat. "Fernanda, see how to handle this. The film crew will do their best to cooperate. By the time I opened my phone, the internet was already in an uproar over my insults. A few years ago, the rumor about Joshua's girlfriend recognizing me as the third party was brought up again by someone with ulterior motives. How can someone with such questionable character still make movies? To be honest, the movie's huge success mainly relies on the director and the script. It could have been a hit no matter who played the female lead. Fernanda, can you please get out of the entertainment industry? In the past, I couldn't clarify things because my account was managed by an assistant. But now everything is in my own hands. I no longer have to remain silent and endure those baseless accusations. As I was preparing to post a clarification, I suddenly saw Joshua's recent statement, "Fernanda and I are in a marital relationship." After many years, he is finally willing to publicly acknowledge our marriage. Yet, I find that I cannot stir any emotions within myself. I deleted the text I just typed, re-edit, and posted the duration of my marriage with Joshua, as well as the divorce date. In an instant, public opinion online was turned upside down. I looked at Leonardo, who was preparing dinner, and suddenly said, "Leonardo, I have been divorced." I know. He responded softly, then continued to handle the ingredients. At that moment, I knew I didn't need to explain anything further to him. During dinner, Leonardo confessed his secret to me. "You is my mother's surname. My dad doesn't support me making movies. He doesn't allow me to use the family's connections, nor does he permit anyone around me to lend me money. He wants to force me to go home and take over the family business, saying I have no talent for filmmaking. I have to admit, he has a point. I really don't have talent." I looked at him in confusion. "What nonsense are you talking? Everyone says you are a genius director." Leonardo shook his head. "That's because of you. The female lead is you, so I can make this movie well. Fernanda, some people can't see your brilliance, but I, who borrowed a bit of your light, have been gilded." Last night I lay in bed and saw Leonardo's announcement about leaving the industry. He said, "I was never a genius. The success of the movie is because my leading actress played my leading role." Chapter 09. After winning awards for the movie, my resources gradually increased. After visiting my senior, I was about to leave when I suddenly saw the community security personnel surrounding a little cat. I suddenly thought of missing someone. That little cat looked a lot like my memories. Even the bib around its neck was exactly the same as the one I used to buy. I thought of something and went up to confirm. As soon as it saw me, the little cat immediately started meowing at me. It broke free from the net and ran to my feet. After seeing the kitten's identity tag, I finally confirmed that it was indeed missing. I asked the security personnel, "What do you plan to do with it?" The security personnel shrugged and smiled helplessly. They said nothing, but I understood that if they took away the missing one, it probably wouldn't survive until tomorrow. In the end, I still softened my heart. Carrying the missing one, I went to Joshua's place. It was quite a coincidence. I happened to see someone coming out of Joshua's house. It was Martin. I hadn't seen him in a long time. He seemed like a different person, looking disheveled and dejected. I suddenly thought of the gossip I heard a while ago about him using a toy gun to propose in Cloud City. Joshua saw me and hurried over. He said, "Martin, you know him. He has offended someone, and his family is preparing to send him abroad. So today he came to say goodbye. I am not interested in his friend's matters. Just handing over the missing got lost, and I happened to run into it when I returned. Missing is mischievous. There were times in the past when it got lost while I was taking care of it. I thought this time would be the same as before." But Joshua disgustedly cast aside missing. "It's not that I got lost." Joshua impatiently kicked the feeling of missing. "It's that I don't want it anymore. You divorced me because of it. You hate it, so I don't want it either." He looked up at me. "Fernanda, can we start over? This time without missing. Let's live our lives well again." I looked at his feeling of missing with immense fear. My heart turned to ice. Although I don't know what the feeling of missing has gone through to become this way. But I am clear that the culprit must be Joshua. Not good. Since he doesn't want to miss me, there's nothing more for me to say to him. I turned and left, carrying my longing with me. While driving, the longing kept resting on my lap, no matter how many times I tried to push it away. It suddenly became very clingy, and would act sweet to me just like it did with Joshua. But even so, I still don't plan to keep it. I am both soft-hearted and ruthless. I will not forgive anyone or anything that has hurt me, whether it's a person or a cat. Fernanda. Seeing my car, Ruby came out from the yard. I met Ruby at the movie premiere. She waited for me in the background for a long time, and when she saw me, she was very emotional and asked if we could take a photo together. She said, "Fernanda, I am your fan. In fact, the moment I saw Ruby, I recognized her. In Joshua's study, the drawer still holds her photo from when she was 16. The 16-year-old Ruby is not much different from her in her 30s. Is this the stray cat you were talking about?" Ruby gently touched the missing. "This cat looks like the one I gave away before. I wonder if that person has taken good care of my little cat." My heart stirred, and I suddenly asked her, "Who have you sent a cat to?" Ruby's thoughts were all on the cat, and she casually replied, "A previous neighbor." A gentle breeze tousled my hair. I smiled faintly. Perhaps Joshua never expected that in his white moonlight's words. He was merely a neighbor as well. When leaving, Ruby promised me, "Don't worry, Fernanda. I will take good care of it. You know I really love kittens." Chapter 10. After my divorce from Joshua, I basically lost contact with the Sun family. But Sun grandma suddenly called me. She said she was sick and wanted me to come see her. Sun grandma has always been good to me. Since she is sick and wants to see me, I will definitely go. I asked Leonardo, a relative who has taken care of me is sick. "Can you accompany me to see her?" Leonardo was more than happy to. After he retired from the circle, he became my little assistant. He wished he could stick to me all the time. It wasn't until I saw Sun grandma that I realized her illness was fake. She had tricked me into coming to see Joshua. Grandma Sun said, "I know this trick can only fool you once. Fernanda, Joshua said he knows he was wrong. He wants to see you. He wants to ask you for a chance." When she said this, Joshua was standing beside her, his gaze fixed intensely on me. I completely ignored him. Pulling Leonardo, I introduced him to Grandma Sun. "Grandma, today I brought my boyfriend to see you. His name is Leonardo." Upon hearing this, Joshua reacted strongly. "Impossible. You're lying to me." He was about to grab me, but Leonardo immediately stood in front of me. At the same time, Grandma Sun also stopped Joshua. "Fernanda." It was Grandma who was confused. When leaving Sun's house, Joshua relentlessly chased after me. Grandma Sun suddenly slapped him across the face. "How long are you going to make a scene? It's your own fault for hurting Fernanda. She's doing well now. Can't you just let her go?" The door of Sun's house slowly closed behind me. Once I walked out that door, no matter how much noise was inside, I could no longer hear it. Today is a bright sunny day. Leonardo held my hand and asked me, "Did you just say I'm your boyfriend?" I keep my eyes straight ahead and continue walking. I respond to him while walking. Leonardo's mouth corners rise wildly. "Fernanda, I knew it. One day, I will definitely succeed in rising to power."